Welcome back, my friend, and let's talk about manifesting the impossible and how to actually manifest the impossible. Because as you know, it's not impossible to manifest the impossible. Truly. When I say this, I mean, how do we manifest something that feels so big, that feels so different from anything we've ever created before, that feels very out there? Maybe we haven't seen any of our peers do it. Maybe we haven't seen any of our family members go for something like this, and it feels huge. And maybe just the thought of it overwhelms you in terms of how the heck am I going to do this? If so, I just want to acknowledge you for having big dreams and for going after what it is you actually want in this lifetime. Because the truth is, nothing actually is impossible. And the way that we create and live a life that our brain thinks is impossible at this point is to decide we're going to go after it, even though it doesn't feel possible, even though our brain doubts it, questions it, wonders how the heck it's going to happen, or tells you it's not for someone like you. All lies, 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 right? And so, how do I know this? Is that I have actually manifested many, many things that had at one point felt impossible, but I knew I wanted them. And so I went after them anyways, even though it felt impossible. I'm talking many things. And I've also witnessed so many of my clients create what once felt impossible for them. And they just went on the journey and ended up creating it, right? They blew their own minds. And that is so much fun. In fact, studies show that if you set impossible goals or go for manifestations that feel unrealistic, that feel totally impossible, that actually there's a benefit to it. You know what that benefit is? Is that our mind can't actually conceive how this is going to happen, right? It's almost like our brain lets go of any resistance because we tell it it's impossible, it's unrealistic, and I'm going to go for it anyways. It's like it just lets go, right? Because you're agreeing it's impossible. And when you call it an impossible goal, your brain's like, okay, well, if it's impossible, let's just have fun with this. Let's just try. It ends up being more playful. And again, I have personally manifested so many things that felt impossible. I mean, given where I came from, just the life that I live now, I dreamed of it for sure, but to think that I could actually have it, I would have been like, how in the world did that all unfold? What? Everything from living in LA, living in the hills where I live in this beautiful home that I absolutely love, marrying my absolute best friend, soulmate, partner, love of my life, and, overcoming a health condition that I really struggled with for many, many years and finally fully healing it, even though doctors said it was something that cannot be healed. And now, where I am in my life, there is no evidence of having it. I've actually healed it. It was something I struggled with for so long. And it wasn't only me that told myself it was impossible to heal it, but doctors told me it was something that you can't heal. And yet, here I am healed, right? It is no longer there. It's no longer in existence. I don't suffer from the symptoms of it, which totally felt impossible. And it's also something that I envisioned was releasing that as a struggle in my life. And I actually created that. Also, my dream of moving to Hawaii and living in Hawaii. Oh my gosh, that has been a huge lifelong dream. And to be able to get a condo that I've been able to go back to every single month and plug into that beautiful energy. And now just the fact that Josh and I are going to be moving there full time, which completely felt impossible because he has a career in music and, used to always think, well, I'm going to have to be in LA forever if I'm doing this career because this is where the music industry is. And I didn't let myself stop dreaming. I thought, well, I'm going to manifest that a reality happens where you don't have to be here. Not that you have to give up your dream, but like somehow it's all going to work out, right? And I'm going for this dream and I'm going to dream of it anyways. The other one is my business. Oh my gosh, to think that I am where I am in my business and I've been able to create what I've created, given what I used to struggle with and where I came from and what I used to believe about myself, it is truly a miracle. Like literally, had even the me just 10 years ago known this, I wouldn't have. So here's the thing. I've created many impossibles, and I have a hunch you've probably created something in your life that you at one point probably thought, God, that would blow my mind if I created that. And I've seen this happen with clients who let themselves dream, right? I've had clients who have traveled around the world with their entire family. I've had clients who have nothing to creating $1 million business that supports their family and allowed for so many beautiful things to unfold in their life. And I mean, I'm saying a couple of examples. I see it time and time and time again that when we really go for things and we don't stop, they end up unfolding. Either that or something even better unfolds, right? As an effect of going after it. So, I thought for this episode, it would be helpful to talk through some of the things that I have found extremely useful for manifesting the impossible and how it's a bit different to manifest the impossible versus kind of grow incrementally or just take the next step, which that's not a problem either, right? But a lot of you do have goals and dreams and visions that do feel to your brain like, how the heck am I ever going to do that? So let's talk through some of the ways you're probably going to want to work with this goal or this manifestation a bit differently than you do the things that kind of feel like it's the next step or that you kind of have a plan for the way or could see how it's going to happen. When you're manifesting the impossible, usually your brain has no idea how it could possibly unfold, right? So let's talk through a couple of those things. Number one, the first step of manifesting the impossible is you have to decide you want it and you have to decide you're worthy of it and that you're going to create it. So I like to create an it is done process around it. I like to decide this is actually what I'm going for. Oftentimes I'll create a vision board around it. I talked about that in the last episode. And I'll declare it to the universe that this is what I want. And I even say a mantra. I have no idea how this is going to happen, but something inside of me does. That's actually a mantra that I practice on a daily basis. I have no idea how this is going to happen or unfold, but something inside of me does, right? And is trusting that something inside of me. So you got to decide to do it. You got to decide to dream and to go for it and just decide that it's going to happen. I'm not saying attach to it. I'm saying create the vision for yourself and start working towards it, right? That is how it happens. For most people that create the impossible, they just decided to go for it, right? That's step one. It's huge and it's really everything. The other piece that I think is different from growing kind of incrementally or steadily in terms of manifesting the impossible is I would highly recommend, if you have some sort of practice, or if you don't, to start some sort of practice where you can plug into something that is higher and bigger than you, right? And I don't just say than you, I mean than the little you, than your ego, than your brain, than your mind. You are not going to create this from logic. You are not going to create this impossible dream from your mind. Again, your mind has no idea how it could unfold. Our mind is only really able to look back, take information from what we've done in the past, and regurgitate and use that information. So if you're creating something you've never created before, you're going to have to tap into something else besides the mind because the mind's just going to look back. So what you want to tap into is what I call infinite possibility, right? Or God energy. It's that field of all knowing. We have to get out of our little brain, our little mind, and tap into something bigger and realize that we're a part of something bigger, right? So I always like to think of it as we are, if you think of God is the sun, we are rays. We are rays of that sun. So we have to tap back into that heat, tap back into that energy, that sun. And whether you call that God, true nature, your higher self, your intuition, it's getting out of little brain, getting out of, like I like to think of it, getting out of the story of Jamie Berman, right? Let's just get out of the story and the lyrics that Jamie Berman tells every single day, because our mind tells a story about who we are and what we're capable of. And that's not the truth. So we have to tap back into that energy consistently. And that's what's going to allow you to really tune in and listen. And in listening, that is where you're going to be guided to where you need to go, towards what your next step is. It's not going to be your mind that gets you there. It's going to be your intuition, which I like to think of our intuition is like the connection between spirit, between infinite possibility, and then our energetic blueprint, right? The part of us that has experience, wisdom, it can blend with our brain that we can use, and we can actually use our brain, but we don't want to create it from our brain. We want to create this from a higher place, from infinite possibility. So you have to tap into the fact that you are part of something bigger. And I'll tell you what, magic will happen. If you think about it, so many successful people who have created impossible things, who have created incredible companies, who have had huge impacts, who have been innovators or creatives, what do they have in common? They oftentimes meditate, they tap into that. So you need to plug in. If you want to create something new, you've got to plug into something new, right? And just it really does. All it's doing is it's letting you take a step aside from the story of your life, of what you think your life is, of the perceptions that you always have, the thoughts that you always have. We have to step out of that realm momentarily, often, and plug in to the amazingness and the magic of the universe in whatever way that is for you. It's going to look different for everyone. If you're religious, maybe you plug in at church. Maybe you read the Bible. Maybe if you are not religious, right? Maybe it's a meditation practice. Maybe you love doing that through movement or yoga, or maybe it's just paddle boarding, right? Maybe it's through play. And maybe you go out with your kids and you play, right? There's so many different ways to plug in. But the way that you want to think about it is, how do I get out of my head? That's a good way of asking. How do I get out of my head and listen? You know that you get your best ideas in the shower. And the reason for that is because you're not really in your head. You're not in doing. You're just in being. So we got to get in that space more. And that's how you will absolutely gain the wisdom and the ideas and be able to tap into the intuitive nudges that are leading you there. Okay, so the next thing is, in order to manifest the impossible, you are going to want to, not only want to, maybe have to, I think have to, expand your capacity to. Now, this is actually how you manifest. It's a big piece of manifesting. All of these are that I'm going through. Not only do we want to plug in, but we also want to expand our capacity to feel the human emotions that come up, right? Because I think when we're just living on autopilot, we have the same emotions over and over. We have uncomfortable emotions and we have comfortable emotions. It's just that we're used to the same uncomfortable emotions over and over. So if we're doing something new, creating something new, we're still going to have a combination of positive and negative emotions. And people sometimes don't like to use those words, but maybe it's uncomfortable and comfortable emotions. But the difference is they're going to be new emotions. So it's not the same as when you are just kind of hiding in the cave and feeling like sorry for yourself or feeling pity or anything like that, where maybe you're used to that. Now, let's say you go for something big and new, it's going to be new negative emotions. So you're going to expand your capacity to be seen, maybe. You're going to expand your capacity for visibility. You're going to have to feel the emotions of maybe setting boundaries or saying no, or sometimes not people pleasing, right? This is a big one in business. Expanding your capacity for that. These are new uncomfortable emotions. And oftentimes when things are new, we want to go hide and go back to our old 50-50, right? Where we're hiding in a cave, we're not taking action, but then that feels bad because we have the pity or the stagnation, right? So expand your capacity to feel new emotion. And that's across the board. It's not going to just be uncomfortable emotions. It's also expanding your capacity for more comfortable ones that you're just maybe not used to, like receiving, like compliments, like joy, like expansion, right? So much of manifesting is that it's about it's the willingness to feel more emotions and hold space for your emotions without reacting to them, but coming back, plugging back in, like I said, to source, knowing that you are whole, you are supported, all is well. We want to come back to that place. And that's how we ground ourselves, even though maybe we're going to feel new and different emotions. All right. And with that, because we're going to be feeling new and different emotions, a new 50-50, I highly recommend receiving support. And support is just what helps you stay steady, right? I know for me, whenever I'm creating something new and different and going for big things, and I feel like, gosh, I'm in the arena, like having support is what helps me come back to my equanimity, right? So it doesn't always feel like a roller coaster. Even if I feel like sometimes it is a roller coaster, I have something to come back to ground me. So for me, support is huge in terms of having a coach as I'm working through something new. Maybe it's therapy. I've gone through times where I've done therapy, right? Or it's just the support of the right friends or right partners, the right people in your life. It is, and oftentimes support can also be just you not doing it alone. Like hiring someone or having someone help you work through it who maybe has already been on that path, who already knows the way there. It's going to help to condense the timeline. When you allow yourself to receive support, it condenses the timeline that it takes to create the impossible. I think that's how we have quantum leaps, is we really do. We tap into source energy. We feel our emotions, expand our capacity to feel different and new emotions. We receive support. Another one is we practice underthinking. All right. What does that mean? Practicing under, it means that you're not overthinking everything, that you just take action. You just go. Action creates clarity. You cannot steer a parked car. So you might as well just move forward. Don't think about it too much. Don't try to prevent failure too much. Just go. Let yourself move. Think less, right? Because this is not going to come from your brain. The impossible is not going to come from the thinking brain. I guarantee that. So stop overthinking and come back into your body and say, what do I know? What's the next step? What do I need to do? That's the only question you really need to ask. What's the next step? What's the next natural intuitive step? That's all I need to know. Okay, that's it. Let's go. Think. Stop all this overthinking because it's going to slow you way, 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 way down. And it's not going to allow you to create the impossible because the thinking brain doesn't know how to get there. So let's not overthink anymore. Let's practice the skill of underthinking. This is truly a practice that I have. When I notice myself being in my head, I'm like, wait a minute. How can this be easy? What's the next step? Let's just go. It's huge. And with that, right? Another one is, like I said, not being so afraid of failure, because what I actually learned through Brooke Castillo, one of my one of the mentors that I learned coaching from, is she said, fail faster, right? Her whole thing was, if you want to manifest the impossible, or as she says, create the impossible, fail more, fail faster, because we learn way more from our fails than we do our successes. So don't try not to fail. In fact, she had this whole process that I thought was brilliant, and it was fails every quarter. If you want to manifest the impossible, like decide on 25 things that you're willing to fail at every quarter of the year. And she was like, you will have so much success if you just fail more often. So underthink and fail faster so that you can get the learnings and you can move through it, because with every failure, you're redirected, which means there's really never any true failure, but what your mind thinks of as a failure, you will learn so much from that. And then you can redirect and shift and find what does work. Now, to manifest the impossible, one of the things that I highly recommend is surrounding yourself with people who believe in you. So, a lot of manifestation teachers, like the OG manifestation teachers, always recommend being in a mastermind, which that can look different ways. The way that I see mastermind, you can go join a paid mastermind, of course. But really, what I think it means is just surrounding yourself with people who believe in you, who see the possibility. And sometimes that's a coach or a mentor, or sometimes this is just friends. It could be the right family members. It's find some people. It doesn't have to be everyone, but find a group of people that you can surround yourself with more often who believe you can do it, believe in you, who see you doing it, who can hold belief for you when you are struggling and doubting and not believing in yourself. And you can go and cry to them and they will hold your hand and say, but get back up because you're doing this thing. Right? Those people are like earth angels and you can find them. They are around. And that's why I'm a huge fan of community for entrepreneurs, is getting in the right community, because it really allows you to be held and to manifest so much faster and be able to really manifest the impossible, especially whenever they're holding your hand and you're holding their hand and you're believing in them. It's just amazing to be in that vibration and in a vortex like that. So those are my tips for manifesting something that feels totally impossible. And if you're going for something that feels totally impossible, I just want to say, go you. So am I. So am I. Is it easy all the time? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I will say that I have grown the most through everything that I have created that had once felt impossible. It's how I've become the person that I am today. It's how I've shed so many limitations that I had built up around myself. It's how I've tapped into spirituality in a way that's so much deeper than I would have had I not gone for these things. And it's totally, absolutely worth it. So, if you don't have anyone who believes in you in your life currently, just know that, like, I believe in you. I don't think you have to come from any specific background in order to create what it is you want to create in your life. I don't think you had to have gotten certain grades in school. I don't think that you have to look a certain way. Sometimes we're paving the way. Sometimes we're like, oh, I don't see anyone else looking like me doing this. But that's why you're creating the impossible. You're creating something that hasn't been done before. And you're the one for it, right? If this is a desire that you have, it's something that is meant to be expressed. So I can't recommend going for it enough. And I hope that this episode was helpful for you. I'm so excited for you. And I'm so excited for us. Let's go create the impossible.